All right, everyone. Welcome to our weekly SIG release meeting. This meeting adheres to the CNCF Code of Conduct, which basically boils down to be mindful what you said and be excellent to each other. I already mentioned it, so please add yourself to the list of attendees. And for today, we have Ray as note taker, so thanks for that. And now we can jump directly in our recurring topics. Do we have anyone on the call who would like to say hi and who is new to SIG release? It does not look like this. So then we can just move over to our sub-project updates. Do we have someone from release engineering who would like to provide us an update?
Okay, I can give it a try. So a lot has been happening in the past week. First of all, release stuff. I think that we had RC0 last week, and in general, it went pretty well to my knowledge. We had some minor issues with jobs generation, which are now fixed. With that fix, we inserted a new version marker called stable 4. It is now official, it has been documented, it has been properly integrated in the release tooling. So this is one thing to mention. There is RC1 scheduled for today. Maybe Jeremy can tell a little bit more about it later for release team update. But this is it mostly from 126. For patch releases, we have patch releases upcoming next week on Wednesday. I would like to point it out that cherry pick deadline is this Friday, December 2nd. We will send an announcement for this, but keep in mind if you have anything to cherry pick, to do so before the deadline. One thing that I would like to point out, and shout out to Carlos and Sasha and everyone involved, is that now we are having a signing for binary artifacts. This has been merged today. I think it will be already kicked off today for RC1, so we will have a chance to see how it works. It is a new subcommand in Krell, and it is integrated, as I said, in the release step. So we will see. I think we already have some tests and it did pretty well. So fingers crossed today for the release for RC1. Another thing that we are progressing on is OBS proof of concept for Open Build service. It has been going pretty good, and we managed to successfully complete it. Like all packages are getting successfully created, installed, published, and all that stuff. And additionally, this weekend I got Cube package somehow integrated with all that, so that is properly generating the spec files that is expected by OBS, that is generating the tarball with all needed files and binaries and other stuff that's consumed by packages build process to then build the packages. And this is something that I'm going to discuss a little bit later today. Also, I think for register cherry picks that we are doing pretty well, so most of them should be merged by now, as far as I know, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that would be most of it. I might have forgotten something. There has been a lot of movements, but yeah, please feel free to add if there is anything else.
Thank you for this.
Yeah, I have two others. The first one is I started work on the provenance generation. So if anybody wants to join me on that, ping me. And I also started with Carlos working on a new repository of actions so that anybody can use the tools. And the PR should be coming this week. If you want to reuse our tools in your project, be it Kubernetes or not, you'll be able to use it much more easily once we have those. But expect some news over the week. Oh, and the other one, important one, was we released a blog post about the backports together with SIG Infra about the registry change. So I will add it to the notes, to the meeting notes, so that anybody can see it in case you didn't catch the announcement. And awesome work on the marker, and I'm also very happy to see that the binary signing happen during the night. It's exciting news to wake up to.
Yeah, thank you for this update. Yeah, we are still testing it and we found a bunch of bugs. So looks like there's one PR left open and we have applied a very high concurrency. So it looks like that on the SIG store side, we should probably reduce that. But I'm kind of optimistic that we can fix it in the next half hour or something like this. All right. Anything else regarding release engineering?
Should we hold off on the RC starting until that is merged?
Yeah. Okay, we should. Yeah. What are the timings for the RC?
Oh, we were going to discuss that now. Xander is going to run with that today. So we can schedule around what we need to do. I think the promotion times are so much better now that we can start it later today and it won't be that big of a deal. RC1, we don't have all of the extra work of the branch cuts and the job creations and stuff. So I think this will be fairly straightforward, and we can wait until you give us the sign to go.
I can aim for around like 10 a.m. Pacific, if that sounds okay.
Yeah, that sounds great. So if we don't fix it with Carlos PR, which should merge in the next half hour, then we can also apply a workaround to skip file signing for now, and then we just fix it tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right, so then we jump over directly to the release team section, I think. So Leo, do you want to provide us an update?
Sure. So we are on track. Nothing concerning. Everything quite normal, I guess. So today is RC1, as we heard, but there are no blockers or anything besides maybe this one PR that you mentioned now, which we can wait on. But CI signal looks good. Docs, we are chasing the last couple of open PRs to merge the docs in. And for the blog post for comms, there are a few authors who are now out of office. So we are basically moving to others to check if they can review what has already been done, and maybe then the ones who are maybe in office can take over. So we are basically just facilitating a little bit, but nothing concerning, nothing major. So far, so good. We have quite a few retro topics. So maybe we will have both sessions 1 week after release cut. So Tuesday and Wednesday. So that's also good. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for this update. Anything else regarding the release team? So if we assume that we got the final release just in time, do we have any plan for opening the shadow survey this year, or do we want to defer to next year?
I think last year or this year, it started in the release cycle started like the 10th of January. So probably, if I remember correct, we had it open over Christmas, but I'm not 100% sure. I could check it again.
I'm pretty sure that was the case. We gave people time to fill it out over the holidays, and then that assured that we had enough time for folks to select shadows so that the release could kind of start on time, and then the shadows would be ready to go. If we don't open it until January, I think that it compresses the time. We either would want to start a little bit later to give folks time to pick shadows and onboard them before the release really gets going, especially for enhancements, or we would just need to shorten the time for the survey down quite a bit.
Yeah, with the number of applicants that are coming in now, like the folks need time to review them. There's so many, and reviewing them is definitely work.
I remember that we discussed for this cycle that we can make some small adjustments to the form again. align it a little bit. We had like a couple of ideas, so maybe we need a couple of days to review the form if we want to make like some bigger changes. But I mean, that's not a problem. All right.
Cool. Sounds great.
Yeah, we would roll it out before Christmas, before everyone goes out on vacation. And ideally, one blocker for that is finding an EA, which I am doing right now. For hopefully, like we would have our 1.27 EA decided by end of this week. And then I can start handing over the 1.27 tasks to the incoming EA. And also plan to like roll out the shadow surveys for the end of cycle surveys this week, plus assembling the release team issue as well. I believe all the leads are right now in the process of selecting the next leads. And I hope that they would have an answer by mid of next week for most of them. But in my mind, finding an EA is of priority right now to get things for 1.27 rolling as soon as possible.
And also one thing I just remember. So we've been working on this release team shadow application tool, which has been now for 2 months or so. Nothing changed, but there's still a couple of small things that we need to adjust. And also probably, I mean, because I wrote all the code and it's not 100% integrated, maybe it would also be good to have like a session maybe with the incoming EA to show how this tool can be used, just to basically generate markdown files and everything, so the upcoming team leads for 1.27 can select shadows easier. So it's also on my list.
Cool. Thanks. Hopefully we can get all those stuff finished by the end of the year, right? Yeah. All right. So do we have anything else regarding to the release team? Otherwise, we will jump over directly to the open discussion. Oh no, you're the first one on the list.
Hi everyone. So follow-up of the blog post done by Adolfo and Bob. I would like to suggest we stop publishing to git.gcr.io in the future. So starting 1.27. So basically, because there are two reasons for this. I think the first one is like that's going to reduce the cost related to the overall cost related to container storage in next year. And also because we already make registry.case.io GA in 1.25. So I think for the future, I would like the release process only push to one registry instead of both. Because right now we move to both on each image process.
Yeah, I think this has been an ongoing discussion about stopping publishing new tags to those registries. So some of them will occur naturally as releases get enough left, but the other, and that has been in more discussions, has been about stopping the publishing of new 125 tags to the old registry. And now with 126 looming, I feel that we should really do an effort to not publish the releases of 126 there. Some of the details of the infrastructure still need to be built, if I'm not mistaken, Arno, because we need the private GCR registry and clone some of the, well, there are several ideas, so the implementation is still a little bit under discussion, but
yeah, how we're gonna do this is still to be defined, but the overall idea is basically stopping to publish to case.gci.io is not, we know basically we still leave that in the open. Like basically we don't stop the surveys, we don't block pushing for it. We just basically say all the new tag can still be pulled from that content registry. But in the future, if you want to use basically anything after January 2023, you have to use the new registry. And even the old tag like pose 1.1, you still can pull from the new registry because we did a full copy of that. So because we already changed the changelog in 125, we can basically say, do a cherry pick and say in the changelog, oh, all the older version of KK, we still pull from the new registry. And that's going to be literally transparent because we will not break user per se. We just basically say, oh, trying to pull from the old registry. So I'm saying we only do that from 125. And all the patch release all the patch release for 125 and everything going forward will be pulled from the new registry for the current one because gate.gci.io is deprecated.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I was just gonna point out that there was a thread already in KSIG info where somebody was asking very specifically, when will I not be able to pull from kates.gcr.io? And I think that's clarity that people are gonna either look for or they're gonna continue to use it until they can't use it. Like we've told them the longer that we keep this going, where like 126 is going to land in 2 weeks and it's going to land in kates.gcr.io. So people will still be able to pull from there, which just is going to prolong the activity that people are going to keep using that registry. So I'm in favor of trying to accelerate this as much as possible.
Yeah, if we can stop, I think we have like I would say 3 weeks left before Christmas. So I would like to basically go a little fast on this and issue some communication either first week of January of end of December, like depending of timeline. Like I think the first thing, like make sure January next year we are sure we can stop pushing to the old registry. So I think that's basically the one thing I want to investigate during December, like trying to figure out how we can do this, like using Prowl plus a few things that need to be done on KateSinfra to make sure we stop publishing to the deprecate registry.
But one thing I think we can be smart about is communicating early and a lot more. So I think it doesn't hurt if we start putting out the word and we can iron out the implementation details. I mean, we've had extensive discussions already about it, of how to implement it, but we can draft a plan in the next Gates Infra meeting, and then we can bring back the details of what's to be done on the SIG release side. But I'm sure it's going to be a lot of communication. I mean, maybe both SIGs, that doesn't hurt if we communicate on both sides. But yeah, I think we should set the expectation that 126 is not going to be published there. If for some reason we don't make it, I mean, everybody wants to work on this instead of going to Christmas with their family, right?
Yeah, like
no, but if we get it in time, good. But otherwise, at least setting the expectation that we are not planning to publish it on the old registry, I think it's going to be helpful.
Yeah,
I have something to add to that.
So how I'm gonna say that. I think the main idea is to basically the real impact is mostly the patch releases. I think this is where we're going to have, that's a real impact, because I would say for any new release, if we basically decide today we stop publishing that, it's fine. But the real impact is patch releases, because we are basically, I think people will have the assumption to still pull from the duplicate one. So there are like basically a few things we can do, but my real concern is basically how we're gonna handle patch releases in the future. I think that's like my real concern. Like, but we can have this conversation async about this.
Yeah, okay, because some of the discussions were that patch releases for the still in support branches like 23 and 24 were still going to be pushed there, and then once those end of life, then we stop all releases. But yeah, we can definitely discuss the implementation details in KDFA.
I have nothing else to say. Anyone has a question about this?
Yeah, I've got a question. So do you actually get approval to not publish 1.26 releases to K.GZIO?
Can you, I lost you for a minute. Can you?
Yeah, sorry, do we have approval to not publish new images into the old registry today?
Well, my question is about basically this is about getting approval from SIG Release to not push to the old registry. So I think we still need to establish a plan, and from that plan we make that decision. Because I think, yeah, we just kind of make the decision right now, stop publishing stuff. We need to look at what's the meaning of this, like configuration of PROW, how we handle case
but that's something internal to us, right? But end users need to know, let's say a few weeks before the release, that, hey, by the way, 1.26 is not available there anymore. Please plan to pull from the new registry, and then we can hash out internally on how to deal with it. Try and seek the right approvals early and send out the relevant comms as well. Like if we do the technical work first and then get approval, we run out of time. So it'd be nice to get the approval first and then do the technical work. Because if you don't make it, then the customers are in luck. If you do make it, then we got what we wanted.
Okay, so I think run out of time is not accurate here, because it's up to us to define the timeline. We can also decide to make that in 1/20/28. Like there's like nothing blocking us to do that. So that's why I prefer to first look at the technical detail before we make the communication. We can make the communication now and look at the technical detail. That's, I don't have a problem. Or do the opposite, like make sure we cover everything before we do the communications.
Yeah, but one thing that could be helpful is if anybody on the SIG Release side has any objections about not trying to sunset the registry for 1.26. I mean, we still need to discuss it a little bit further and deeper, but if on the next KTinfra meeting, we should try to start working on the implementation. So if anybody has any concerns or that, well, please let yourselves be heard now, and I can bring it to the KTinfra meeting, or just raise them up in the chat as soon as you can, so that we can, I mean, the project needs everybody's help. So if we can go in a cooperative attitude and bring propositive ideas and sunsetting this earlier, the better. But if anybody has any concerns, probably now's the time.
I feel like this is tricky for people to answer, because we don't give people the time to have to time to think about this.
Exactly. Like it's not a like you have to commit now. You can think about it, but I think overall there is goodwill from our SIG with Gates Infra to work this and make this happen as soon as possible. But there's always a chance for people to think about it and raise any objections, comments, concerns, whatever.
Yeah, I think easy thing is like create a Slack thread and have people come to talk about this, and from that we have a consensus. And by next Gates Infra meeting, which is next week, we have another conversation. We basically trying to have a decision about this. Does that sound good for everyone? Like Slack chat and Slack thread, GitHub issue. Which one is better to make that decision?
I feel like we've been preferring GitHub discussions lately, but
yeah, sounds good to me.
I'll open it now while Marco does his presentation on the next topic and share it on the notes.
Okay, so I guess we can take off with the kubepkg topic. Okay, so here's the thing. I have been working on experimenting. So first, what I'm trying to accomplish. We need a way to build these spec files, to generate them, and to publish them on the Open Build service so that those can be picked up and that we can, based on that, generate debs and RPMs. The thing is that we need a tooling for that because something has to generate those spec files. And also, besides spec files, before, when we had Rapture and Google Build folks taking care of packages, it worked in a way that we were pulling, for example, we are building kubectl package. We pull kubectl binary from the Google Cloud bucket and include that in the package build when doing that. For OBS, that's not going to work because OBS builds are air-gapped, there's no internet access, and you have to provide your binaries before the build starts. What I managed to do and how I accomplished it to get both that working and multi-arc builds is that I create a tarball that contains, for example, kubectl binaries for all architectures. Put that with, for example, maximum compression so that we save on storage and stuff like that, and push that to the OBS service. What I expect, for example, in this case, kubepkg to do is to generate spec files and to generate that tarball that both can be pushed to OBS service. My question is how kubepkg is standing right now. It is a bit of experimental tool and not something that really took off. For example, we never implemented it in CREL or something like that, at least not to my knowledge. Google Build admins are using different spec files than those that are generated by CREL, that kubepkg. So I'm wondering, how much do we want to keep of the backwards compatibility? Like, do we want to start over to completely get rid of spec files that we have right now, to create new spec files that are working with OBS, and to make behavior that it just works with what we need with OBS, and that we stop maintaining what is there right now? Is there any opinions on that topic, or do you maybe have some more context on what's going on with kubepkg? I see Anal has a question. Feel free to go ahead.
Yeah, I'm trying to catch up. So I think my question will be, are we touching the specification for those packages?
Sorry, can you please repeat?
Are we modifying the specification of those system packages?
Well, for each release, when we, for example, want to release 124.5, we need like to take the spec file and to put stuff like versions, dependencies, and other stuff. So for each release, we need to generate a dedicated spec file because it might be different from release to release. Same goes for between minor release and even between patch releases, it can be different. So kubepkg should be here to mitigate that and to make it easy to generate stuff.
Okay, so we have a template and we generate those spec based on the template.
Yeah,
okay, because
exactly.
I think like my question is related to a comment Stephen made by Stephen maybe a few meetings before, like about the fact that those specs are consumed by downstream. So if we want to leverage kubepkg, it's going to be delicate to change the template of those specs because there's like underlying impact for people using that.
Yeah, so that's one of the questions here is for like, do we really need to maintain stuff we have right now for downstream consumers? Like, do we have any idea if anyone is actually using that tool at all? Or can we say, I think there is some node that it is experimental, some README or something like that. Can we just say, okay, we will just make it work with OBS because this is what we use, and we will not really maintain the other way that we had before. So, I mean, yeah, for what was in kubepkg, we will still maintain what is used by Google build admins, but that is a different thing that is being generated by kubepkg right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so Marco, generally, I think in the future, we would like to have spec files which follow the best practices for those operating systems. So I would say that we probably will not keep them as they are. But for an intermediate solution, we would just like to keep them right. So, but I would expect from Krell afterwards that it will still modify the spec files and OBS will take care of hosting and building from them.
Okay, yeah. Then I will, this is what we have right now. I will include this in CAP. I plan to update the CAP that we have right now. However, I would first like to meet with OBS folks to discuss if the solution that we have right now is good at all. I have sent a doodle for that, but it seems like the best time slot is tomorrow or Monday next week. Tomorrow is a bit better. After that, availability of OBS folks is a little bit spotty, and yeah, that's going to be a little bit harder to organize. So maybe I could try to push it for tomorrow. I don't know, Ray, if you can help us on that side, maybe you can see with OBS folks if tomorrow works for them to have a final decision, and yeah, we can send out invites and try to gather and to see if what we have is okay. And based on that, yeah, I will see if, I mean, yeah, I will check out in that case what we can do with kubepkg and if we can change what we have right now and how that can look like. Maybe I can create, if that will be better, if someone wants to take a look, maybe I can create a PR with the new spec files that we are using so that you, for example, can take a look and see what will be the difference. And then based on that, decide what do we want to do with old files, like do we want to keep them, drop them, or something else. Like, yeah, do we want to maintain the old behavior of that tool?
Yeah, sounds good. And for the build process itself, that are some details we can probably then catch up in our meeting with the OBS folks, because there are those service definitions which allow internet access to download source files and things like that. But we have to create a workflow for us, which actually works. So
one thing that might be nice to answer when it comes to kubepkg, right now we have some logic for building packages, like to run the appropriate dpkg and RPM tools. Any idea if we still need that, or do we want eventually to drop that completely and completely depend on OBS? That's not used by like Google build admins. So yeah, this is something that I am thinking. If you have like any objections to that dropping, or if you have any objection to change about kubepkg tool, please reach out to me so that I can plan for it and that I can put that in CAP so when creating it. So yeah, I think that's the best way out. So yeah, I will create that PR. We can discuss it there. And in the meanwhile, if you have objections, please let me know. And then after we have the meeting with OBS folks, I will start working on CAP and follow up with that.
cool, sounds great. Thank you for this update. I really appreciate it. And updating the enhancement proposal is probably the best way to keep the discussion up and running, right? And find a good solution for it.
Okay, thank you all.
Cool, thank you. So anything else regarding the OBS integration and kubepkg? Because we have 10 minutes left, and then we can move over to the topic from Mohammed from November 15.
Okay, hi there. So can you open that issue real quick, please?
This one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a very familiar thing for everybody that uses Mac. So this is a problem that I've solved for the other project that I work on, right? So I would like to do the same for Kubernetes, but I'm not quite familiar with the build process. So somewhere very early in the build process, we need to run some code that basically sticks a certificate to the file and submits it to Apple for neutralization. And that's all I need to do. So I need to work out where to do that and how to get it done. So any ideas?
Sorry, I think I lost you a little bit, and I didn't understand what is it that you need to do?
So I need to find out how the build process works, and somewhere very early in the build process, after the binary is built using Go build, I need to insert a shell script that basically uploads the file to an Apple service and then notarizes it, so that gatekeeper doesn't cause problems when people download the binary later on.
Okay, so one thing we've been trying to do is basically get rid of all the bash as we can. Is there a chance this could be written in Go?
Unfortunately, no, because there's a tool that somebody in open source wrote in Rust that talks to this service. So there's a Rust binary that you need to install that does all the hard work for you.
But is there a chance that we invoke that from Go? Like, I mean, we can try to reproduce the script in Go. Like, okay,
it's possible.
Could write everything in Rust.
Why not?
I don't mind doing something like OSXX where I call this program and pass flags and do some stuff.
Yeah, I'm happy to work with you and so that we can fit it somewhere.
Cool.
I think I need to understand a little bit better. So it uploads the binaries to Apple and then notarizes them, and then all right.
Exactly. That's what it does really. So there is this program that gets called. You basically have to zip the Darwin binaries, and then you pass it to this program. It gets uploaded. You need to supply like some API keys or certificates that Apple issues to you. And then once you do that, you wait like about less than a minute usually, and then you get a response back from them saying, "Yeah, we're happy with this binary," and then it gets notarized. And then you carry on with the rest of the build process.
Those keys get rotated often, or
it's a code signing set, so the most important thing is you don't lose it.
Okay, we need to think how to okay.
Just one question. For that, do we need the Apple developer account or something like that?
Yeah, you do.
Is there some fee behind that? Because I remember that you had to pay something for such accounts.
$100 or something.
Yeah, there is a fee involved, but like Kennedy is using my signing keys, which I got. But before we get there, it'd be a great idea to work out how to integrate this feature into the build process. And then I can chase somebody down for the final setup. Apple developer keys.
Maybe if that's an option, if you can share the script that you have, and that we can take a look and see how
the
it
script,
goes. Then
okay, I can get up on the screen in like a couple seconds. Give me a second.
Sorry, just one comment about this. So I talked to this about getting a developer program account with steering, and there were like some legal issue related to that. I think the one thing is like we should not. I mean, basically, what steering says like we should not basically have individual owning the account to basically access the API keys. So the idea is to try to talk to CNCF about this. So we basically CNCF get the account, pay for it, and give us the access key so we can use that. I think that's like the non-technical blocker. And I need to follow up with steering about this because I asked about that maybe 3 to 4 months ago to steering.
Yeah, it's also something I have to work on for Knative.
Yeah,
the THC and steering were like, yeah, use your key for now, and then we'll chase it when they get to it. Which I mean works for me because I get the feature out the door. But if you look at the chat, the script is there. So if you put on the screen real quick. Not there. I didn't put in the issue, so in the Zoom chat.
Yes, there's a link in the chat. I can share it again. Wait a moment. So that we can open it. As far as I see, it seems to be pretty simple. At least the function that takes care of signing. So yeah, if we do a bunch of OS exec, I guess it might be the way forward to integrate it with Krell.
It's there, 335 down to 350. The other stuff is fixed on cosine work. Yeah, that's fine, James. Yeah, life before that tool was very annoying because you had to get a physical Mac and do the work on there. But now you don't need to because Apple released an API that you can use. Rust tool uses.
Is that API like publicly supported by Apple, or is it an Apple internal API?
It's a public Apple API.
Okay.
That you can authenticate with these credentials that you get.
Sure. Okay.
One issue that I see here that can be a little bit inconvenience is that it changes the checksums. So we would probably have to go through all the stuff we generate, change logs, stuff like that to make sure that we are up to date.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of why I brought it up because it's a bit complicated. And if you look closely here, we do this before the cosine, right? So we calculate some checksums when we build the binaries, and then we print the final checksums again. That's what we ship.
Yeah, it has to be right after their builds and before we do anything else. But
exactly. So it's going to be the first thing you do after you do go build.
Okay. Yeah. So as for the exact spot we need to do this, we need to like, let's do a walkthrough of the code later, and I can do that with you. And so
okay, cool.
Regarding the developer accounts, one thing we could do is start testing with your personal account on your branch, and then so we can, I don't know, do you want to talk to this to steering, or maybe we can bring it I mean,
well, steering is in Discord, so
exactly.
I
didn't want to point any fingers, but
we talk to steering right now, so I don't really see the point for me to follow up on this. So.
Attention steering.
Yeah. So
let's just say an update has been asked, and we will get to it.
Cool.
Yeah. I will try also to ping folks inside Apple to see if I can get some feedback from this.
Okay, yeah, that would be great. And yeah, and hopefully we can start testing it at the beginning of 126 and then make it a feature for the next cycle.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we can just follow up on this topic. Thank you. We will move Leo's topic to next week. I just added it to the agenda. We are also almost out of time, so I would like to say enjoy the rest of your week and see you next week. Thanks, y'all. See ya.
Thanks all.
Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.